Hi, I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. If this is your first time to our channel, be sure to click the subscribe button below. Today I'm going to show you how to create a standalone three-dimensional punch needle figure. Let's get started. To complete this project, you're going to need your finished punched project, some felted wool, a needle and thread to match the felted wool, basic sewing supplies, some tracing paper or tissue paper, stuffing, and some stuffing pellets. You could also use kitty litter for the stuffing pellets. Start by taking the original punching pattern and tracing all the way around it onto a piece of tracing paper or tissue paper. And you're going to use that as a pattern to put on the felted wool and cut that out. That will be the backing. Then you want to draw an oval on the tracing paper, just a little bit wider than the bottom of the punched piece. And if the oval ends up being too big, it's fairly easy to cut it off later, but if it's too small, you have to cut another one. So err on the side of making your oval a little too big. And then cut that out of the felted wool. Then take your punched piece and cut it off about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the punched edge, except on the bottom. And on the bottom you want to leave about 1 inch of weaver's cloth past the punched part. And I like to use my pinking shears. When you cut fabric with pinking shears, it's not going to unravel. And then press all of the edges to the back. As you can see here, I press them all to the back and you can't see them from the front any longer. Next, take the punched piece and place the felted wool backing over the top, putting the two back sides together. And then take your needle and thread. The thread again matches the backing of the punch needle piece. And you're going to sew all the way around the top part of it here, from here to here. So leaving this part, the bottom part, open. To start sewing, you want to go underneath the folded over edge of the weaver's cloth, so that your knot will be hidden back there. And you could pin this in place if you like. I find it's easier to just hold it and maneuver it as I work. You want to hold the punched threads back with your thumb and catch the felted wool and just the very tip, the edge of the weaver's cloth with the needle. And pull that tight. And so you're just doing a whip stitch along the edge of the punched piece. And I use thread to match the backing, the wool backing, because otherwise you'd be able to see the thread on the wool, but on the front the punched edge will cover up. As you work along, you might have to pull the weaver's cloth back a little bit just to make sure it isn't visible from the front. This is the same method that I use for finishing bowl fillers by hand and ornaments by hand. I will put links in the description below to both of those videos. Just want to continue whip stitching all the way around. I now have the entire top part sewn together with the opening here at the bottom. I'm going to stuff the project with some stuffing, and I'm going to leave the bottom ½ inch or so unstuffed. After I have this stuffed up to about ½ inch or so from the bottom, I'm going to fold this part under, and it looks like I've really got too much here, so I'm going to cut a little bit off, again with the pinking shears, and fold that in. Now I get to see how well my oval fits. It looks like this oval that I have made is a little bit too big. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it down a little bit now. If you buy one of my patterns that is meant to be made in this way, the pattern sheet will come with the oval drawn on it, so you don't have to try to figure this out. But if you are using a different pattern that isn't designed to be a stand-up figure and you want to turn it into a stand-up figure, you will have to figure out the oval size. I feel like that's a better size. I don't want it to be too small, and still just a little bit too big is okay because I can cut it down as I work. I'm going to take my needle and thread and bring it up here underneath the weaver's cloth, then tuck that back down in there. Then I'm going to start sewing the same process. I'm going to whip stitch this bottom piece to the bottom of the figure. And I'm just going to do this front part here, and then I will stop and add my stuffing. If you add the stuffing pellets now, it's really hard to keep them from falling out as you're working. For this gnome turkey pattern, I am also adding legs as I work, so I need to add those as I am sewing this together. And if you were doing a different pattern that didn't have any legs, you would skip this step. I'm going to have it be inside about 1/4 of an inch, so that about 1/4 of an inch is inside between the two layers. Then I'm going to just sew back and forth instead of whip stitching this part. I'll just stitch back and forth to attach the leg. Again, make sure that you catch just the very edge of the folded over weaver's cloth. When you get to the end of the front, you want to be at about the middle of the end of the oval, and I'm not quite there, so I'm going to trim a little bit of the oval off here so I don't end up with too much oval. feel like that's going to fit together pretty well now. Now I'm going to add some stuffing pellets. You want to fill up right up to the very edge of the wool. And the stuffing pellets are what gives it a little bit of weight on the bottom, and that will allow it to sit upright without falling over. So now I'm going to just finish up by whip stitching the back and the base wool together all the way around the back. When you're all finished, your punch needle project will have a flat base that it can sit upon, and it should stand up all on its own. I hope you found that helpful. Be sure to click the like button below. I'll see you next time. Bye!